Hattori, Hattori, Hattori. You are my dear. When I play you, I can't help but to get into gear. When I play you, everything seems clear. When I play you, I begin to feel no fear. Yet still, the thoughts remain. The doubts sprout their little heads in the moonlight, and I can't help but to feel this pain. The wounds know no wrong nor right, but I will still try to see the light. Even the wounds that know no wrong nor right don't matter, because I know what's wrong or right. And so I will fight with the might of 1,000 soldiers. I guess life really is in the eyes of the beholder. Hello everyone, and welcome to my cute little guide for my girl Hattori. There are timestamps in the description for anyone who wants to skip to a specific part. Anyway, here's the video. Hattori's honestly just a really fucking cool looking legend. She's like a ninja samurai demon bride chick, and she's fun to play on top of that. I can't help but to feel like I'm in a movie or some shit where the detective or hacker or whatever has like a galaxy brain 200 IQ and I'm like fucking simulating every possible outcome while I'm playing. Like some Matrix type shit, because her kid is just so fucking fun to play and cool because it just really rewards like successful predictions and shit like that. Anyway, Hattori is 4 attack, 6 dexterity, 4 defense, and 8 speed. I'd go defense stance since 4 defense is really low unless you're really confident or smurfing. In that case, go attack stance. She uses a sword called, take a wild guess, katana, and a spear called Yari. She is 5,400 schmeckles, and once again is pretty goddamn stylish. Speaking of style, skins are a thing that I'm going to talk about. So this is the default skin, as you're probably well aware of by now. Then we have this abomination of a skin. Next is like Demon Hattori and shit, but with like a really impractical looking sword. We have Samurai Hattori, Yumiko Hattori, Metal Gear Rising Hattori, Hattori with a mask Hattori, Jiraiya Hattori, John Cena for some reason, and the really fucking cool Hattori skin you get with the battle pass. Her lore is about as interesting as the rest of the legends, but here it is if you care enough to read it. Anyway, that's enough about that. Let's get into her combos and shit.
Yeah, I am a sinner, fucked up, cut no trimmer, dick down, hoes get trimmers in the back of the bimmer. Thought I bought it, but I rented. I don't give a fuck, thought I lied, but I didn't. Like, whoa.
First, I think it's important to know the basic sword strings and combos, so here we go with that first. But right before I talk about that, I real quick want to explain some terminology just in case you don't know. Combos refer to chains of attacks that are impossible to dodge out of, also commonly referred to as true combos, which always work against a person with any amount of damage. Strings are chains of attacks that are dodgeable and therefore have dodge frames. Dodge frames are the amount of frames the other player has to dodge out of your attack chain. I also talk about spot dodges, which is basically dodging in place. I may be using the word slightly incorrectly because it may mean dodging in place in the air, but I'm not quite sure, so I'll just stick with my definition and call it a day. That's all with the terminology I needed you to be familiar with. Downlight is basically your bread and butter for combos and strings, and you can choose which of the following combos you want at your own discretion. Downlight side air is a simple kill combo off of a ledge at 150 health and higher. Downlight down air has consistently good damage. You can also use it to punt someone off a ledge. Downlight neutral air is a combo with decent damage, but takes some practice to get used to. I find the best way to land it is to hold up and left or right at the same time to get it true. Downlight ground pound punts someone off of a ledge and kills at 140 damage. Downlight gravity cancel side light is a spot and side dodge read. Downlight gravity cancel neutral light is also a dodge read. It's just, I don't know, a different attack. You can also string these basic downlight combos together like so. Other basic combos slash strings include various combinations of side light and neutral light, including side light neutral light and neutral light side light. You can see what I did there. If you hit someone with a ground pound on the ground for whatever reason, you can also follow it up with a recovery for some extra damage. Now, for combo slash strings that utilize signature abilities, side sig causes Hattori to spin forward pretty damn far. Once it hits a player, it does 5 damage and then hits them upwards, spins them around for 2 ticks dealing 1 damage each, and then swings them towards the opposite direction for 15 damage for a total of 23 damage. Here are the strings and whatnot. Side light side sig is used to predict various grounded dodges, dodge to change your position based on how you think they'll react. Neutral light side sig has the same idea as the aforementioned string, but with neutral light instead of side light. You can also do side light and neutral light side sig, but be aware that there are more dodge frames in this string, so if your opponent is aware of it or adapted enough to learn it, they can pretty easily predict it and dodge out of it. You can also downlight and hold down sig for a pretty nifty prediction, but only use this if normal downlight strings aren't working. Due to the nature of the signature, the sig is really good at stringing stuff rather against a wall or with a friend in a 2v2. This has the potential to be absolutely disgusting when done correctly, but I'm not good enough to pull off anything cool in an actual game. This sig's greatest strengths are its distance traveled, large amount of active frames, and distance it causes the receiver to travel. This makes it a really good ground level execution, which is nice to have since the sword itself doesn't have the greatest kill potential, and the strings that do provide kill potential are decently difficult to pull off and are very easily dodged. Neutral sig causes Hattori to teleport above and slash downwards, dealing 24 damage and causes them to fly diagonally. You can do downlight neutral air neutral sig, but the higher the damage you've inflicted on your opponent, the harder it is to land, so use it sparingly later in the game unless you want to do a cheeky little dodge read and hold down the sig for a bit. Down air gravity cancel neutral sig works as a really good punt if they are decently low due to the nature of the ability. Neutral sig excels at punting people off the map. Use it when you want to fight on the edge or kill at lower healths. Neutral sig is also relatively difficult to punish. It's still not particularly hard, but it's definitely better than her other sword sigs and your grounded light attacks. Also, another fun thing you can do is neutral sig on the ledge itself and kind of like climb up the ledge. So if some asshole is ledge guarding, especially with something like guns or some shit, you can maybe fucking hit him. It's not the greatest because you don't really move that far to the left or right with the sig, but it's still a possibility. Down sig causes Hattori to roll back and quickly slash in front of her, reaching a little bit farther than her starting position. Here are the strengths for the down sig. Side light down sig. You can also dodge right after the side light for a little more distance. Neutral light down sig is very situational, only use it if the enemy dodges towards you a lot, since side sig is more useful as a spot dodge prediction. You can also dodge forward and quickly down sig for another cheeky move. This isn't a combo, but it's nice to make a note of. You can down sig off of a ledge and still slide up it, so you can bait people by using this thinking that you're going down, but actually you're going right back fucking up, baby. What the fuck? But it's pretty difficult to pull off in practice. This sig is best used to bait other players that immediately dodge or people attacking you at medium-ish range. It's the least useful of her sword sigs in my opinion because it's very situational and easily punished, so use it sparingly. Sword's best strength is its speed. To be successful with the sword, you pretty much can only be aggressive since the majority of weapons in this game outrange it. Use sigs to spice up your playstyle, but don't rely on them for your damage as they are all easily punishable. Sword particularly struggles against lance, bow, and spear in my experience, and appears to pair notably well against guns. Now, let's go ahead and talk about spear. Once again, I'm going to showcase the basic spear combos and strings that work for every single spear legend in this game. This part is rather wordy, so feel free to skip to the time frame shown on the screen right now, or in the description if you feel confident enough with the spear. Downlight has a lot of different combos and strings that you can do, so we'll start with that. Downlight jump side air can also pair with down air if they dodge under you. Ground pound is another option, but it's riskier since it's much easier to punish and pretty much a troll string if I'm gonna be honest. Downlight jump neutral air can be used. You can also add a side air to the string as well if you want. You can do downlight recovery. Something cheesy to do in lower elos is to downlight jump neutral air recovery neutral air. You can also light recovery neutral air recovery, which is easier to dodge but also easier to do because neutral air is decently inconsistent in where it sends a receiver flying. You can gravity cancel after your first downlight and hit a second downlight as well, but only do this if the other person fail dodged because it's pretty easy to dodge out of if you're familiar with the combo. Here are some side air combos and strings. These are particularly useful during the neutral game or those moments where neither person really wants to engage, so both of you just kind of stand stand around. This is because it has really good range and it's pretty hard to punish without getting hit yourself. Side air, neutral light. This is a true combo, and yeah, it's a true combo. Side air, side light isn't true, but you can string this with any of the downlight strings or combos, making it a very powerful move if they don't dodge out of it. Basically, only do this if the other person has no idea how to dodge out of spear strings. If they do, just stick with side air and neutral light. Many side strings are really good dodge reads, but aren't very useful if you aren't predicting how they will dodge. And there aren't any true combos I could find that start with side light. Correct me in the comments down below if I am incorrect about that. Side light, gravity cancel, neutral light is really hard to land in practice, but it has the least amount of dodge frames when done correctly. If done incorrectly, there are a large amount of dodge frames, so practice this one. Side light, side air is also decently useful with slightly more dodge frames, but it's also easier to land. It's still not very easy to land though, so once again, practice! Side light, gravity cancel, side light can serve as a spot dodge read and a read for a dodge away from you, but it doesn't do very much damage. However, you can string it with a side light if they run away from you. You can also pair it with a downlight since you land on the ground pretty quickly and they don't have a dodge, allowing you to string it with various downlight strings and combos as well. This is a pretty fucking cute string and it'll make you feel good if you can actually land it in a game. Side light, jump, neutral air works as an up dodge read as well as a read for a dodge towards you. You can replace this with a recovery and it will serve the same purpose but do damage. However, it's much easier to punish. Side light, down air works as a dodge prediction. You can replace it with a ground pound for really no reason besides it being really fucking toxic to hit someone with it. If you're an extremely confident asshole and you want to be overwhelmingly toxic, then try adding a ground pound after you down air and watch as they contemplate their life decisions that led to that moment. Now, finally, neutral light. Neutral light, chase dodge, side light. Alternatively, you can remove the chase dodge for a nice spot dodge read or a read for a dodge towards you. Neutral light, chase dodge, neutral light is for reading a dodge away from you. The end. Alright, when I started writing this part, I thought it was going to be as quick as for sword, but spear's way fucking more combos and shit than I thought, so I'm sorry for the word vomit. Side sig causes Hattori to do this cool spear lunge thing into a kick. It acts similarly to the vast majority of side sigs in this game and acts as a dodge read. It is rather slow and easily punishable, so don't use it too often unless you have a really good reason to do so. A lot of the strings are pretty much just alternation of normal spear strings, but with usually higher dodge frames and more damage in return. Therefore, I'm not going to spend a lot of time, or any, explaining the purpose of many of these strings, since I've already pretty much explained it in my introduction to spear already. Side light, side sig has super low dodge frames if done correctly. This is a very, very nice string. Use it, love it, hate it, I don't know. Do whatever you want. Neutral light side sig is a good dodge read. Downlight jump gravity cancel side sig is an alternation of other downlight combos, but with a sig. Wow. Down sig causes Hattori to kind of spin in place and form a bunch of smoke around her. Anyone caught in her hitbox will be sucked in and shot out in the direction she stabs her spear at the end of the animation. Be aware the spear also has a hitbox, which sometimes causes people to accidentally get hit by it if they don't compensate for that. Down sig is an extremely good sig that serves as a really good bait, and it can be completely bullshit at times with its hitbox. However, it is one of the easiest sigs to punish in the game, unless the other person forgets about the ending animation like I often do. So you know the drill. Be careful. Jump gravity cancel down sig is a very nice bait, and it's very toxic. And then these following strings are really useful for reading pretty much any situation where the opponent dodges into you, such as neutral light down sig, side light down sig, downlight jump gravity cancel down sig. If you have enough momentum while down sigging, you will slide a bit. This can be used to down sig off the ledge and kind of catch them if you time it correctly. It's also super fucking toxic, which is a nice bonus. Neutral sig causes Hattori to burrow into the ground and strike upwards a short distance in front of her, sending other people flying upwards. This is probably the best sig in her kit. It's hard to punish and can be stringed with pretty much anything, including side light neutral sig, neutral light neutral sig, and downlight neutral sig. Since spear doesn't have the greatest kill potential ever, a neutral sig is probably your safest bet at killing your opponent. Spear is probably one of the safest weapons in the game at the moment since there's no particularly awful matchup for it. I personally struggle the most against lance with it, but I'm going to attribute that more towards my lack of skill than a flaw with the weapon itself. The most important part of playing spear is spacing/positioning. There are a lot of dead zones on spear that could really fuck you over if you don't position well. This is of course to balance spear since it has a really nice range. This causes spear to have a naturally somewhat passive playstyle that doesn't really reward risky plays and benefits from safe plays. If you can remain at a safe distance, then you're going to have a decent chance at winning the matchup. The only weapons that have very similar ranges or slightly higher are lance, guns, and bow. As I said before, I struggle with lance, but not because it necessarily outranges spear, but because it has more mobility with its good range, and it makes it very hard for me to actually land anything or not get hard punished for anything that I do, which could be a sign that I'm bad, but I still think it's a moderately difficult matchup. Guns are also somewhat difficult for spear because it does straight up outrange it at times and is generally faster than spear. Just keep your distance even more and focus on punishing rather than attacking and you should be alright. Bow's downlight outranges you, but that's really the only thing bow has going for it in my experience, and it is a pretty easy matchup if you don't suck. All in all, Hattori was my first time I really sat down and learned spear, and it's honestly a pretty fun weapon to play. It's still like my second least favorite weapon to go against though, since it promotes passivity and that playstyle is super fucking boring to go against. Alright, in conclusion, Hattori is, and always has been, very viable. I don't think she's S+ tier or anything, but there's really not much left to be desired. Her weapons cover each other's weaknesses really well, and there's no completely useless SIGs. Not to mention, sword and spear are very good weapons themselves. Hattori's main shortcomings are her defense and her weakness to lance. You can use defense stance to kind of help with that problem, and it does to a certain extent, but you still die fairly easily, especially from weapons such as hammer. In my opinion, lance is Hattori's biggest counter because sword is super weak against it and spear is alright at best against it. This only makes super fucking annoying legends like Orion and Lord Rax that much more of a headache, and I honestly just want to leave the game the second I see either of them because it's honestly not worth the frustration of going against a float lance with her kit. Anyway, I'm kind of done talking at this point, so thanks for watching. If you have any feedback or criticism or whatever, tell me in the comments, because I'm trying to make these videos as good as I possibly can, and any advice makes it that much easier to do so. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully, see you next week whenever I make another video, you know what I'm saying? And I've been in this fucking closet for like 40 minutes now, I think, and I am like dying of a heat stroke, so I'm going to leave now, right before I fucking make a swamp in my closet. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
And you, with your cold, fickle eyes, you get your way. And me, I have got no say in my own destiny. The way it's going, sticky BRU will be the death of me.